Okay, now we get into our second level of difficulty in proofs because we're not going to give you all the parts directly, but we will give you enough information to find the parts that you need to prove these two triangles are congruent. Remember, what are you asked to do? You're asked to prove the triangle ABD. ABD is congruent to triangle ABC. So the left triangle is congruent to the right triangle. So we know we have lots of ways to do that. Side, 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 or side, angle, side. Those are the two ways we have right now. Side, 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 or side, angle, side. I'm not too sure what method I'm going to use right now because my given doesn't give me any parts, but my given will give me enough information to find the parts I need, which are three sides or three parts, side, angle, side. Okay, so I will have enough information to do that. So I wrote down my first given. B is the midpoint of DC, that's given. And what does it tell me if B is the midpoint? Well, we talked about this before. A midpoint will give you two congruent segments. If B is the midpoint, by the definition of midpoint, it divides a segment DC into two congruent segments, BD and BC. So we can say that BD is congruent. Oops. BD is congruent to BC. Why can I say that? Well, I have a midpoint, and that's what a midpoint does. It's in the middle. It divides the segment into two congruent segments. So that's definition. You can abbreviate that of a midpoint. But you can abbreviate all that. Okay, but definition of a midpoint. Okay, so I'll mark that now. And that's going to give me a side. Okay? All right, then I also have another given that AB, segment AB is perpendicular to segment DC. That was given. So now what's that perpendicular tell me? Well, perpendicular lines, we know that perpendicular lines form right angles. Okay? So I could say that angle ABD, angle ABD is perpendicular. Let's say and angle, so ABD and angle ABC are right angles. Okay? Now we know definition of perpendicular lines are one thing you could say. Definition of perpendicular lines. Or you could write down the definition, basically. Perpendicular lines form right angles. That's the definition of perpendicular lines, two lines that form right angles. Okay, so that's ABD and ABC are right angles. Okay. But if they're right angles, their measure is both 90 degrees, so they're equal in measure. So we know that, and basically we simplify that all right angles are congruent. So we could say that angle ABD is congruent to angle ABC. And we could just say all right angles are congruent. All right angles congruent. You could write that down. Now, either of these statements would be fine for number 4. Definition of perpendicular lines, or you could just say perpendicular lines form right angles. That's basically what the definition is. Okay, so now we have an angle. I should kind of mark that, so what I'll do is I'll mark it like normally. This is a right angle. They're perpendicular to both right angles, and I can put a little single mark there, because all right angles are congruent. You can see that. Okay? So now I got side angle, so it looks like I'm going to go with this strategy over here. Side angle side, and I just need one more side. And again, if I look at these triangles, what do I notice? They have a common side. AB is in this triangle. ABD, and AB is also in triangle. ABC. So since it's a common side, I can use the reflexive property and put 2 marks there because it's congruent to itself. And say that AB is congruent to AB. And our old friend, the reflexive property, of congruence. And that's going to give me the third part I need, which is another side. So I got side, angle, side, so I'm all done. Now my triangle's congruent. So I can say the triangle ABD is congruent to triangle ABC. And why is that? Side, angle, side. And you're all done. Okay. Get that up so you can see that whole thing, I think, or most of it anyway. Spread it out a little bit there, but there you go. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Good luck.